So players ask me all the time how to become a more consistent shooter, and to me it comes down to 3 things. Number 1, most basic, if you're standing in the same spot, wide open, can you shoot the same shot every time? So is your form consistent? Number 2, which is actually the opposite of that, when you're tired, when you have a defender on you, when you're moving at high speed, when you have to fade a little bit, when you get into the game and all these things come into play, can you then switch up that shot to match what the game is giving you? It's good to be able to shoot the perfect shot and to do it consistently, but if you're only able to shoot that perfect shot, you're probably not going to be consistent because you're not ready to adapt to whatever environment you're in. And then lastly, number 3, and probably most important, is up here, right? The psychological side of things. Being able to bounce back from a missed shot or a couple missed shots or a bad game and get back on track and back into that flow state. So we're going to attack all 3 of these in this workout. How we'll do this is after that warm up, we'll alternate between a physical challenge, right? So challenging your balance, your rhythm, some of your form components, and then challenging your mental. So these drills will be a little bit easier, but you're going to have a goal in mind, right? So maybe 4 for 6, 8 for 10, and you have to beat this goal. And if you really challenge yourself here, it's going to put some pressure on you. And when we incorporate pressure into our workouts, that's when we're able to learn how to bounce back from missed shots, and that's what's going to apply most to the game. Let's get into it.
So funny enough, before we get into any warm-up or any form shooting, we're jumping straight into threes here. Now, my reasoning for this is that many players aren't consistent because they come into a game cold, whether it's off the bench, whether they just haven't shot much before the game, and they're not used to making threes this way. And this is tough, right? You miss your first couple shots before you get warmed up, and it's hard to be consistent when you're constantly in that state. So I want you guys to get used to being able to come into a gym cold or come into a game cold and make threes off the rip. Now we'll scale it down into this dynamic warm-up shooting. So we're just going with little single leg RDLs with a reach out and then transferring that energy straight up into a shot, switching spots each time. Then now I'm going with the reverse lunge overhead, and from there I'm quickly popping both of my feet to the ground and getting smoothly up into that shot. So as you can see, obviously these are part of dynamic warm-up, so we're getting our standard dynamic warm-up in, but we're also pairing it with shooting in a way that's challenging our fluidity. Now I'm going little side-to-side pops here, so I'm finding a line, I'm on one foot, I'm going 4 or 5 pops, and then again quickly finding the ground and getting smoothly up into that shot, just getting that ankle warmed up. Now for this find the seams warm-up shooting, I'm throwing the ball up in a way where the ball is kind of twisting, turning in midair. From there, I'm quickly catching, finding the seams as fast as I can, so you can see me kind of adjust the ball as it hits my hand, and then up into the shot from there. Maybe start moving back a little bit as you go, throwing it in different directions. Start to challenge yourself here with these warm-up shots. Now a little bit of a shooting off the dribble warm-up series. For this one here, I'm just pivoting on one foot. So I'm going pounds or moves, whatever I want to, as I stay anchored into the ground on one foot. And then as unpredictably as I possibly can, trying to pick it up from there. All right, I really want a smooth transition from that dribble into that shot every single time. Next one here, I'm going with the double behind and then kind of stepping across for that inverted snatch or whatever you want to call it. And then at any point in this movement, preferably after that inverted snatch, I'm again smoothly raising up into that shot. All right, this could be tough coordination wise, it could be tough shot pickup wise, but again, I want you guys to challenge yourself with speed and the effortlessness of getting that into your shot. Now I'm going with a little change of speed into a push out and then snatching back off of that. So I really want you changing levels here as you change speed. So I raise up and then I go down into this little push out. Now the key here is that I want you to pick this up with different timing every time. So sometimes when you're up and slow, sometimes when you're pushing into it, just switch it up each time so you're getting a bunch of different looks off the dribble. Now those were all a little bit tougher, so let's get into some psychological momentum shooting now, which is basically just quick form shooting. And your goal is to make as many in a row as you possibly can. Set a goal for yourself here. I set a goal for 10. Took me a couple times to get 10 in a row, and then we're moving on to the actual workout. Now we're starting this Find Your Rhythm series with ball pickup shots here. So here the ball is starting on the ground. From there we have to reach down, so change our level, pick that ball up, and then find a rhythm from there, which is tough. But again, in a game, sometimes we're going to be shooting out of rhythm. We got to get used to this. Next one here are double pump shots. So I got the camera on this one. But anyways, I'm getting really far into that shot, like a super exaggerated pump fake, pulling it back, and then having to refine my rhythm into that shot. Again, taking this rhythm away really challenges us here, especially from an energy transfer standpoint. Now we're getting into one of those simpler drills that I mentioned. So this is just corner to wing shooting. So you're shooting one corner three, and then shooting one wing three. Pretty easy. But again, I want you to set a goal for yourself here. For example, I set the goal of 7 for 10 here. A couple times I got up to 6 out of 9, and then I missed one, and it pissed me off. and I had to refocus. I had to get that consistency back going. Again, that was just training these mental tools that we need to be a consistent shooter. So set a goal for yourself here, one that's challenging, but also doable. Now for this high speed shooting, we're going with 3 different spots here. At the first spot, we're going skips, so as fast as we can with 2 skips into a 3-pointer. Second one, we're starting on one knee. We're pushing out of that as low and as fast as we can into a transition shot. So I'm really pulling up at a high speed. And then the last one here is similar, but I'm tossing it out, accelerating into that, finding my balance, and then again shooting this at a high speed. Now I'm going across the court here, so I'm tossing it out, meeting that ball halfway through the court, and getting into that shot as fast as I can. These are really going to challenge your balance. Then finally, we're just going corner to corner shooting. So again, back to that simple drill format, but a couple things here. Number one, same thing as the last simpler drill. Find a goal, really challenge yourself here, especially because this is towards the end of the workout. Number two, that footwork needs to be slightly different each time. So you can't do the same footwork 2 times in a row, or really any at all during the drill. I want you to switch up with the way you turn, with the way you pivot, with the way you hop. Every single rep has slightly different footwork, so we're shooting the same shots, but it's a little bit different each time. If you pair this with a challenge that's difficult enough for you, this should challenge you a lot psychologically. But once again, break through this barrier.
So keep in mind, workouts like this, they're tough. They're gonna challenge you from a fatigue standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, from everything that you can imagine. These aren't only training your shooting ability, right? This is training life. This is training being able to bounce back from when you have these struggles in a game, from when you have a bad game, from when you have a bad day overall, and now you're able to bounce back from this, right? We're not always going to be dealt the best hand. You could miss the first couple shots of the day. How are you going to bounce back from that? How are you going to respond to that? And workouts like this truly challenge qualities like that, again, not only as an athlete, but as a human, and that's going to help you develop far past the basketball court. As always, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned.